Hey, let's do this. What I'd love you to do, grab your pen. We've done this kind of cycle before, but I'd love you to just grab your pen. I'd like you to write down something that came up for you either this morning, right? And just to review where we've been, right? Like Justin shared the vision and history of Montana Camp and the importance of coming together, right? And then Kristen and I came through and helped you with an activity on connecting to your intention. This would be a great time to review. Oh yeah, what's my intention? This is like recalibrating with the direction you've set for yourself, right? We had a conversation about mindset, and then Daniel shared with us. So and then you had lunch, right? And probably some great connection and conversations during that. So go ahead and write down what was something that either has helped you with your intention or something that was energizing for you in this first kind of window of time together. All right, so go ahead and write that down. Take a few seconds. All right, and then like we did this morning, you'll remember we got into groups of 3. So how big are these groups going to be? 3, excellent. You're going to get groups of 3 and just have a quick conversation where you share something that helped you get toward your intention or something that you found energizing, and then have the other 2 people give a quick reflection back, all right? We're going to be in these groups for a little bit shorter amount of time. I'd like to do this as quickly as we can, maybe about 4 minutes, all right? So about 4 more minutes. Have a quick conversation with 2 other people, and we'll see you in 4 minutes. All right, wrap up that conversation. Hey, give your neighbors a big high five. And now give your other partner a big high five. And then go back and give a good fist bump. And then go back and give another good fist bump. I love it. Great job. All right, here we go. It's Squawk Box time. Who would like to stand up and share something that came up in their group, something from this morning that helped them achieve their intention or gave them a lot of energy? Who'd like to go first? Oh, excellent. Right there.
I'm Steven from Helena, and what I took away was, amidst the intentionality and purposeful action, taking time to pause, right? As well as, in that time, lifting others up and being lifted up by others. So that was what I took away.
That's amazing. Let's do 2 claps on the count of 2. 1, 2. Excellent. Can you toss it over this way?
Hi, everybody. Travis from Helena. Go Helena.
Go Helena.
So my biggest takeaway and just what I got a lot of energy from was from Daniel's presentation. I just thought it was really cool, like the domino analogy, how big things start with little steps, and just taking your vision of what's possible for you as a real estate agent and just expanding it and getting exponential.
I love that. All right, let's do, it's not a contest, but, you want to do spirit fingers? Okay, spirit fingers, count 3, 1, 2, 3. Spirit fingers. I love it. It helps if you do the whisper when you do it. Ready, try it. Sorry, go spirit fingers. Ready, 1, 2, 3. Spirit fingers. Yeah, nicely done. Who else would like to share something energizing in the middle of the room right there? You got to run, Travis. Or throw. Oh, wow.
Oh, boy. Oh,
fumble. So close. Almost won the Super Bowl.
It's a good thing I sell real estate, don't play sports. Hey, I'm Mitchell. I'm from the Great Falls area.
Oh, great. Falls.
The funniest thing that I took, I think, was actually a joke, but the 3 options, we got no, thank you, and can get back to you later. I had, earlier today, during the morning, somebody called me. I was freaking out because I know they're listing their house with me. And I called them back in the break. And they're like, oh, nothing important. I just wanted to see what you were learning in the training today.
How cool.
So, I was worried that I was saying no to him, right? But totally it wasn't the end of the world. The planet didn't blow up. So it was great.
I love this. Okay, here's something new, you guys. You haven't done this one yet. We're going to do what's called a power blast. So rub your hands together like Mr. Miyagi and the Karate Kid, 1980s movie. Those of you who haven't seen it, well, it's too bad for you. And on the count of 3, you're going to go like this and send him all your just love, energy, and happiness. Ready? On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. Oh, there it is. Did you feel it? Oh, that was intense. I love it. Well, I wanted to help reconnect you with this idea of your intention for being here and something that was energizing. You can just set it right there, it'd be perfect. We're going to move into a conversation that I really like today about systems. And we brought Abbie here. Abbie is the regional tech trainer for the North Central region. So if you're in the North Central region, raise your hand. And if you use technology, keep your hand in the air. And if you need training, keep your hand in the air, right? Okay, so that's all of us. Abbie's your girl.
Yes.
Excellent. But Abbie, as we move into this conversation about systems, I'm sure people are out there and they have some ideas about what systems are, but they may be sitting there going, oh, wow, I'm so glad we're talking about systems because I know I need systems in my life and business. Mm-hmm. They might even be thinking, what is a system I want to make sure I improve while I'm here at Montana Camp? While they're thinking about that, though, I'd love to hear from you. How do you think about systems, and what's like your model for looking at your world and then figuring out how you're going to put some system in it?
Yeah. So systems can be very small. They could be very robust, very large. I kind of have 3 words that I stick to when I'm building out a system. It's identifying the system, managing the system, and maintaining the system.
I'm going to
So first,
keep going.
Go color on the board. There you go.
I will.
I can't do both things at once. So identifying the system. Sometimes we do things without realizing that it is a system. So one of the examples when we were talking earlier was your evening routine. You're brushing your teeth, you're getting ready for bed, your toothbrush goes in the same spot every night. That's a system, without even realizing it. Now, it's not necessarily something you may need to write down and check off the list each time, because we kind of do it without thinking. But there are some more robust systems where it takes a little bit more deep dive into it. So
Yeah.
That's where the manage and the maintain comes in.
Okay.
So what I mean by that is managing it is you're in it all the time. You're analyzing it. You're checking on it to see, are there areas that could be improved? Because once you set a system, they're not all set it and forget it. Also, maintaining. So once you've got a good system for your system, how ironic.
Right.
Once you have that in place, maintaining it. So making sure that it's running at a high level at all times.
That's perfect. So walk me through an example of a system and how you use this process of identify, manage, and maintain as an example.
My favorite one is the onboarding process in the market center that I was part of when it was launching. So who here has been part of a launching market center at KW?
Oh, a couple of people.
Fun times. So this was a launching market center in the Milwaukee area. I was hired as the director of first impressions, front desk, reception, that kind of role, agent services, and we started to hire more agents. People would come over from other companies, or they would be hired newly licensed. So we quickly learned that, okay, these people are here, they want to join. What do we do with them? Paperwork, setup. How do they know how to use some of the KW tech? So that called for a system. So that was identifying it.
Okay, so here's the problem. We're doing something, we're doing it over and over again. We know there's like certain things we want everybody to go through. So that's identifying the system or identifying the problem, and then what the system might be that you need to implement to use that. Okay, great. So then what?
So managing it. Now, this was not a one-time sit down, here's what we're gonna do, done, check, onboarding complete. I was in this role for at least 4 years, and I was using it and managing it and changing it very consistently.
Okay.
Probably every other week, looking at it, analyzing, because you get in different people from different areas and they have different needs and things that need to be taken care of.
Oh,
so
got it.
You're looking at it and thinking, oh, this is a step I should add to my checklist. My checklist went from 10 items, sign the paperwork, get them in the system, get them business cards, whatever that might be, to a full-on spreadsheet of probably 60 items.
Oh, no kidding.
That you develop, so you're managing it as it comes to you. That was the system that I developed years at a time, so it never ended.
So in the execution of the system, you find out where the gaps are, where it's not perfect, where it needs to change, be updated, and you manage it by adding a new checklist item, adding something to it. Great. So what then does maintain mean, and how's that different?
So obviously that's a system that was going to need to take place and stay in the market center. Now also, that was something that I shared across other offices as well, so that they could rip off and duplicate.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make sure it was maintained at a high level, so making sure that I was consistently going through each step, doing each step the same way for everyone, so that one agent that was onboarded could talk to another one and say, oh yeah, I just finished the tech orientation part with Abby. That's where I'm at in the process. And then they can say, oh yeah, I did that piece. You'll probably be doing this next. So
Yeah.
making sure that it's continuing to run how you intended to in the managing process.
This is so interesting. This just happened while you were talking, as I realized that I went through this process in a recent system that I created. So my system is I've been traveling twice a month, and I started a packing and traveling system. And so it's literally, this is hilarious, whether I do a 24-hour trip or a 5-day trip, I pack the exact same thing. So I did an overnight trip the other day, and I had 3 pairs of pants, 3 shirts, right, like all the way down the list. And my toothbrush goes exactly in this pocket, and my food for each day is exactly this. I park at the exact same parking place. Like, it's a system, but it took about 5 or 6 trips in that managed space to where I was like, oh, wait, I forgot this, I didn't do that, right? Now, the reason we're using these examples, 2 very different examples, is you may be thinking, well, I'm not here to open a market center, or I don't travel like a crazy person. What systems do you want to maintain? So as we have this conversation, this can be a really valuable tool of identify, manage, maintain, and know that you're not going to one and done your system today. You're not going to set it and forget it, but it's something you're going to continue ongoing.
And we've got some great people that operate systems that we're going to be chatting with.
Yeah, we do. And they're at like very different levels, too, of
Yeah.
how they think about and use systems. So, yeah, do you want to bring them up?
Yeah, come on up, guys.
Yeah, we
No,
have
Marty
3
said
of
no.
you. They're right over. Oh, they even stood together. I love it.
Marty Miller, David Voorhees, and Mikey Hyde.
Oh, I love it. And these are all 3 on, right, Jimmy? They look like it. All right, each of you have a microphone. Yeah? Grab a seat. We're going to sit way over here because you guys look sketchy. No, I'm teasing. Good to see you, Marty.
Mikey was busy scheduling showings over there, so you caught him at a bad time. Always working, this guy.
Gotta be hustling.
So make sure you're talking in your mics if you want us to hear you.
Gotta be hustling at Montana Camp.
Excellent, excellent. Well, go ahead.
Well, I wanted to start out by asking you guys to share a little bit about yourself, who you are, where you're from, what you do, and why you're here today, other than being asked to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Marty Miller. I am the regional technology trainer for the KWRI South Texas region. So that's Houston, Austin, San Antonio, Corpus, Laredo, all the way down to the Rio Grande Valley if you've been in Texas. And it's not Dallas, it's me. And I'm also a MAPS technology coach, still in production in Katy, Texas. Happily married with 4, yes, please pray for me, 4 beautiful daughters. And very excited to be here to kind of share some systems that we've created along the way, both in production and what I coach and train to.
I'm David Voorhees. I'm a real estate agent with a real estate sales business in Austin, Texas. My wife and I and a transaction coordinator run that, and also work at KWRI as the executive director of labs. So what that means for all of you here is I'm kind of your representation inside of the building at KW to advocate for the things that all of our agents and market center leaders need. And so that's my role, 9 to 5, day to day. I wish it was 9 to 5, more like 7 to 6, Monday through Friday, and we run our sales business on nights and weekends. So,
Perfect.
I'm your boy, Mikey Hyde, out of Missoula, Montana. Been with KW since 2016. Launched our team, Hyde and Associates, in 2018. Part of the labs team for KWRI. I was the market center tech trainer for Missoula 2018 till this winter. And I am a Cyberbacker franchise owner for Cyberbacker Montana. So we help business owners leverage their businesses through systems and virtual support. On top of that, I run a foundation called the Cash Hyde Foundation, which is designed to help families fighting pediatric cancer. And on top of that, I have an incredible addiction to hunting elk. So I do all of this so I can go and hunt elk in September.
Awesome.
I love it. I love it.
So I think you want to start off with identifying
Yeah.
a system that you guys are using.
Yeah, what's a great system that each of you uses? Like if you could only have one system in your business, what would it be? Maybe it would be one way you could take that question.
Yeah, I think from the platform aspect, right? KW Command, I know, I love, I train, I coach too. If it was inside of KW Command, the one system or the one aspect of that is smart plans. The question I always ask, and I'll ask all of you, first, take your real estate hat off. And I know some of you are born as real estate agents, and it's sometimes difficult to take that hat off, but take the real estate hat off. You walk out the front door, and now there's a for sale sign in the front yard of the house across the street. What do you immediately think? What's it worth? Why do you care? What's it worth? Yeah, you live right across the street. So ideally, whatever they get for their house, you're going to get more because our houses are always nicer than the one across the street, right?
Oh.
By the way, has anyone ever seen an ugly house? Raise your hand if you've seen an ugly house. Okay, now keep your hand up if it's yours. How does that work, right? There's only one person who's had an ugly house. So it's the monthly neighborhood nurture smart plan. I think that I have not found anything that competes with that. And we all care. Do you think the person to your left and to your right in your street think the exact same thing? Why aren't we sending them hyperlocal market data around what's actually being sold, or at least being listed or going under contract in your actual neighborhood? So that would be the system I highly recommend.
And say the name of that smart plan again.
So it's the monthly neighborhood nurture. It's a KWRI built smart plan, fires every month. You can do it every 2 weeks if someone really wants to know what's happening in the neighborhood, but I prefer the monthly version of it.
So like if I were in the audience right now, I should probably write down monthly neighborhood nurture, put that on my list of like candidates for action that I'm going to take this week.
Every single contact in your database, in my opinion, should be on that smart plan. And the nice thing is you can apply it in bulk, 500 contacts at once. You don't even have to worry if they don't have an email. Command will figure that out. You don't have to worry if they don't have a neighborhood assigned. Command will figure that out. You don't even have to worry if they're already on the smart plan. Command will figure that out. So if there's one action item, go home and put every single contact in your database on that smart plan and just let Command figure out the rest. For everyone you don't have an address or an email for, you got a little work to do, but go figure that out, get those emails in, get those addresses in, and then add them all again 2 weeks from now when you start working on that project.
Love that. David?
I got to follow that. I think as
Yeah, you
far
have to
as
do a different one.
yeah, I think as far as my business goes, my real estate business, how I think about it, I think the part that always was the most difficult for me, or the part that I always woke up in, who's ever woke up with a cold sweat in the middle of the night because you didn't remember if you followed up with someone? You did the hard work to generate the lead, and you're in relationship with them, you're talking, they're just not ready, and you forgot to follow up, and then you see 2 weeks later they bought a house with someone else, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's in the opportunity section of Command, what I would call the cultivate area, right?
Yeah.
The people that I've identified that have intent to buy or sell a house, but they're not quite ready for the appointment. So I think it's that world of the people with intent. What in Command, we'd call that the cultivate section of the opportunity.
Yeah.
To me, the system there, and whatever system you have in that area to keep in touch with people that have intent to hire an agent, but aren't ready to do so yet, like that's the one area I think that can make the biggest difference in someone's business.
Very cool.
We may have a resource to share around that when we leave today.
Yeah.
I know Mike's a fan of that one as well. Use that at a high level.
Did I steal yours by accident?
No,
Both
I
of you
just
guys did.
making it look good.
We planned it that way.
No, for me, when I think of systems with the business, it's definitely cultivate to close. And for us, it's that client experience. And what does that look like once we've cultivated this relationship to an actual under contract? And what does that client experience look like? For me, I'm ADHD, I'm a little bit dyslexic, and I'm going a million miles an hour. And when I started managing transactions, my threshold was 7 transactions at one time, and then all the wheels are going to fall off of my bus. And so when I think about systems, I think about how can I give a client experience, replicate it over and over and over, and then scale it out for a whole team. And then with opportunities within Command, it has the whole opportunity task applet that we can now embed these systems into. So for me, it's about getting that client experience and then replicating it and scaling it out.
Love it.
So I feel like I want to give voice to somebody in this room right now that would be scared to say this. And I'll just use myself as the voice of that. So I'm an analog guy, right? Like I have an analog watch. I really don't love the tech. I mean, I use it because I sort of have to. But man, that all sounds really big to me, you guys. That all sounds really like, okay, I guess if you want to run a database of 10,000, but I just have my like 150, 200 people that I really love keeping in touch with. I sell a good amount of homes. I'd like it to be a little easier. I'd like it to be a little more fun. I'd like to not wake up in cold sweats like that. But like, help me with that like fear, that hesitation, that am I going to just become like embedded with the machine and Skynet and Terminators taking over my life? Like what am I missing here?
Yeah, I think, if you think about systems and models, technology and people, those are the three ways we solve problems. Right?
So you said
if you have a problem, there's three ways to solve it.
Okay.
Systems and models, technology, and people. And
Okay.
we do that in that order specifically for a reason, right?
Okay, great.
Systems and models come first because they're easy and I can get them today. By the way, we're also the company that wrote the book on them, right? Technology, I can also get today. Sometimes it's free, sometimes I have to pay for it. People are the hardest to get, and they're the most expensive. And so we always just solve problems in that order. Don't think of the technology as a barrier, think of it as a tool.
Yeah. Interesting.
I think as a takeaway too, well, first of all, pull out your phones. Half of you are already on them, I know, but go ahead and pull out your phones, right? And let's go into the contact section of your actual phone. So if you're on an iPhone, you're just going to click on contacts and then scroll to the very bottom. If you're on an Android, get out. No, I'm
You're
just
on
kidding.
your own.
You got to figure that out on your own, but go all the way to the bottom and you're going to see how many contacts that you have in your phone right now. Scroll to the very bottom. Anyone have less than, what did you say, Josh, 100, 200? I mean, I'm guessing Josh has more than 200 people in that phone right now. Right?
And here's the funny thing. So 20 years ago, I had 200 phone numbers memorized.
Yeah.
Right? And now I have 1,958 contacts in here. I know 3 phone numbers, mine, my wife's, and the house I grew up in.
There you go. So my challenge for you is how many do you have in command of those 1,958?
Right, less than that.
And so there's actually been a new release inside of the Command mobile app. So for those of you that don't have it, that's your first piece of homework is go download the KW Command mobile app, and you can actually download all of the contacts that you have in your phone right now immediately into Command within a matter of seconds.
Love that.
Some of you are waking up in a cold sweat right now thinking, oh my gosh, there's a lot of people on my phone I might not want in my database. Well, you can figure that out after the fact, in my opinion. There's 2 schools of thoughts. I don't know where you guys land, but put it all in and figure it out after the fact, or sort it all out and then put it in later. If you say, I'm going to sort it all out, I'm going to be very transparent with you, most of you will not.
Yeah.
You just won't have the time to do it. So go put all your contacts into Command. Many of them will have just phone numbers. Okay, start texting them and saying, hey, looks like I don't have your email or your address and would love to provide you with hyperlocal market content that's pertinent to your neighborhood. Could you text me back with your email and your address?
Love that.
And then start putting them on that system of the monthly neighborhood nurture. So many people don't have the database in their phone that they do in Command. It's never been easier to get that database inside of Command now.
So good.
I just heard 2 systems there at once.
Yeah.
The first system was getting the contacts into Command. The second system was kicking off the monthly neighborhood nurture. So without maybe even realizing, you just named 2 systems right there.
Well, and interestingly enough, another system, right, that Marty mentioned, which is go ahead and import all those contacts and then start working your way through them. I call that build it while you drive it, right? And so you literally like go, okay, you know what? I just downloaded 2,000 numbers and I'm just gonna go through 20 of them a day. I don't even have to call them, right? Some of them I've got full contact information, but I'm just gonna do this. It's gonna take me 100 days. That's math. 20 times 100 is 2,000. And I'm just going to go through that, and guess what? 3.5 months from now, I will have cleaned up that entire database. You know, and a bunch of those people, I'm not, that person doesn't belong, that person doesn't belong, this person. Oh my gosh, I haven't talked to them in forever. What? Oh, you have to sell your house? No kidding. I'll be right over.
There's a system for that too, right? So one of the things you could do, tag everyone with a tag that's red, that's called cleanup.
Yeah.
And once you clean up the contact, remove the tag. So it's just a way to filter down to only the people you still have to work through. That's just a system to
And that would
to do
take
exactly what you
me
said.
40 minutes a day, I bet, to go through 20 of those, right? Where I would just be like, Abby, oh great, oh gosh, I don't have her birthday. Hey Abby, I don't have your birthday.
Build
What's
it
going
into
on?
your time block.
Right, and then just
Systematize that.
Yeah, just do that. Some of them are complete. I just go complete, untag it. It's really simple, and it's not. I don't have to hack the CIA mainframe to be able to figure that out.
No, and there's a lot of bulk actions that you can do inside the platform as well, right? So instead of doing them one at a time, do 200 at once, send out one text message to all 200 of them. And now that 3.5 months just became 3.5 weeks because you're doing it 10 times quicker.
Sure.
Right? So there's definitely some systems in place that at least to get that initial data, the conversations you're most likely going to want to have one-on-one, but to get the database cleaned up and ready, sometimes bulk actions can get that done much quicker than the one by one.
And you'd be okay with me starting, like, being scared of that, going, like, I'm going to try a bulk action with 10 people to start, see how it feels, and then do like 11 tomorrow and work my way up to 200.
Baby step into
Baby
the
step.
database cleanup.
Yeah, that's cool. But, this is so good, so good. All right, what's next for us, Abby?
What you got?
What do I have? I want you to talk more about, there's only 3 ways that we solve problems, right? Technology, people was the third one. What was the middle one?
Systems and models was the
Systems
first.
and models, thank you. Oh, systems, really? In the systems panel?
We should do a panel. We should do a panel about that.
Right? So, walk me through a typical problem that an agent has, which is, oh my gosh, I got a listing, right? Oh my gosh, I got a listing. I haven't done this in a while, or maybe or all of a sudden in 1 week I get like 4 listings, right? Walk me through those 3 solutions to the problem of I took a listing to going live. How do I use those? You don't have to go in and check an actual checklist, but walk me through.
I think if you think about getting a new listing, right, it's exciting, and then you have a whole bunch of stuff to do,
Yeah.
right? Your system, you probably have a system of all of the things that need to happen.
Yeah.
Right? So that's a system, a checklist. You said you're an analog person. Many of you that are in the room may have been doing real estate pre-technology to when you had a folder, right? A file folder with a list on it, right? Like
It was
she
blue.
knows. Yeah.
I don't function without checklists.
So your checklist of all the things that need to happen would be a system. Now,
Oh, interesting.
how you accomplish all those things could be done in a bunch of different ways. We hire a transaction coordinator. That's a person
Okay.
to do some of those things, right?
Yeah.
Technically, one of the problems you have to solve is you need pictures.
True.
You could go take them yourself using technology like a phone or a camera,
Yeah.
or you could hire a person to do it. So it's just every problem you run into, we always run to people first because we think about leverage in that way. Those 3 things are just 3 different types of leverage you can have. A system and model is just a piece of leverage.
Isn't that great? And it's interesting because a pen and a piece of paper is actually a technology, right? I mean, we're not doing this with like stone tools on a cave wall, right? So that's a technology. And I could have a digital checklist that I'm using, right? Maybe some of us would have used a spreadsheet back in 2008, right? Really fancy.
Don't knock the spreadsheets. I love
I know.
I love spreadsheets.
Oh,
Right?
spreadsheets.
Yeah. And we also have things like something like Command or others that would help us do that. You talked about leverage. We all leverage. If you take a listing, you use leverage, whether you use a sign installer, whether you use, right? Technology, we're using all pieces of technology there when it comes to MLS and lock boxes and things like that. And then systems, I think one of the big things I'm hearing, though, is get the system out of your brain. If your system is your memory, if your system is your Post-it notes on the floor of your car, that's a failed system, right? That's a system that's got a lot of problems with it.
Well, on top of that, when the systems are in our heads, it makes it very challenging for us to leverage it out, okay?
Okay.
So when we think about listings, leads, leverage, and what is leverage? Well, leverage answers a couple things. Who's gonna do it? How are they gonna do it? And what are they gonna do it with?
Yeah.
And so when we really start going down that rabbit hole of, well, I'm a new agent and I don't want to build a big business, or an agent that wants to build a big team, at the end of the day, they're all still selling real estate and the same experience still takes place. What changes is who's doing it. And when we start hiring into our businesses is when we start becoming vulnerable as business owners. And so if you lean into leverage without systems, it's when you're most vulnerable as a business owner. Because, for instance, like Becca mentioned earlier, her main person passed away.
Yeah.
What does that look like if you have an amazing business and the person that's there to support you doesn't show up tomorrow? And their system is in their head. And so now you don't have a system for your business. So when we think about systems, it could be a task list, it could be a spreadsheet, it could be stuff that's embedded in a command. The main focus is being able to get the content out of our heads as fast as possible so that when we do raise our hand for help, we can actually set them up to succeed with an actual procedure on what we would expect to happen, like schedule photos, call the title department, and make sure Flying Guest has that listing packet ready, right, Ty? It's those things that happen every time that if you hire someone and they've never done that before, then it's gonna make it very hard for you to feel that leverage because you're gonna have to direct your help on what you need to do in real time, and that doesn't feel like leverage.
So that makes me think, getting it out on paper or in command or in a spreadsheet, anybody can walk through the door, pick it up, and be able to do it.
Yep.
Without an extensive amount of training that's gonna take 2 weeks to set them up on how to do it, when you could have used that time completing it. How many times do we do that?
Yeah.
Where you're like, oh, it's just faster if I do it myself.
And we're not like downplaying the role, right? Like the transaction coordinating role is a pretty extensive role.
Sure.
Depending on the listing and on the amount, there's a lot of things to keep in track. And if you have it in a system, it guarantees that everybody gets the same experience. And that's what we're selling. We're not selling real estate, we're selling the experience.
Oh, that's really good.
And I bet that
Wait, I
experience-
want to pause right
I know,
there.
I like that word.
Did you hear that? You're not selling real estate, you're selling an experience. Because if we're just selling real estate, guys, there's a lot of like wolves at the door right now in our industry that are trying to commoditize your job, right? That are trying to commoditize your job. And the public is only too willing to allow them to commoditize your job, right? But if you sell them an experience and you have a consistent experience so that you get the same experience that you get the same, right? That you're getting a quality experience across the board, your services become invaluable.
Yeah, and when you splash Marty's My Monthly Nurture, that's 12 emails a year. If we're looking at a 36 touch, we'll go 36 minus 12.
Yeah,
Right?
and now you got 24 to do.
36 touches isn't hard for us to execute systematically now the way that we have command built out.
Perfect. Sorry, I interrupted you, Marty.
No,
You
you're
had
good,
something
and
to
you
say?
nailed it. You said exactly what I was looking at. Was the consistency of that experience when you work with Mike? The experience is the same for every one of his clients, and I know that because he's a systems guru, right? He's got it down pat. Every single one of his clients is going to have a similar experience. It takes a little bit of the creativity out of it, which can for some people be like, well, I like to be creative. When I drive my car, I don't get creative when I start the vehicle, right? I put my foot on the gas, I hit the button, I put it into reverse, and we back out of the driveway. If I was trying to get creative and put it in drive, I wouldn't get the
I just
experience
played this
that
out.
I
Very
had.
interesting
I just
order of how
played
you
this
choose to
out.
do
It
things.
was a different experience, and now I need a new garage door, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
because think about that. Do we wake up in a cold sweat thinking I have to back out of the driveway tomorrow? No, because I know, because I've done it so many times, and it's the same exact order of events happening in the same exact time frame in the same exact way. And honestly, as long as it's an automatic, it's going to be the same exact thing, right? I don't care what the car is that's in the driveway, it's going to be the same thing. Now, if you drive a stick, more power to you, but you get what I'm saying, right? Like, when Mike has those systems, it's this happens, and this happens, and this happens, and in the end, the client has an amazing listing or selling or buying experience.
I wanted to address something that you touched on, Marty, because I know there's some Kristen Francises in the audience, right? Some like teal-haired folks that are like going, he's taking away my creativity. This is starting to feel stifling. I just read this morning. I'm reading Rick Rubin's book. Rick Rubin, the famous music producer, wrote a book called The Creative Act. And he talks about the importance of creativity within the bounds of the medium, right? And so that actually it allows you to be really hyper creative within the bounds of that. So you could set up the automated hyper local neighborhood market update. There's 12 of your touches, right? You could do another 12 touch. You could do another handful of touches that are birthday, Thanksgiving, right? You could do this pretty quick. But then there's room inside of that framework to be really creative. What we're sometimes so tied to, I don't want anybody telling me what to do. You can't tell me what to do, Abby. Stop it, command. Stop telling me what to do, right? I'm my own person. I do what I want, when I want, in a manner that pleases me, and then we get the results that go with that. Mm-hmm. But the point is the systems, the models we're hearing about work, be creative within them, or as Justin referenced this morning, build on a model and put a little bit of creativity at the top. by the way, you'll have more fun and enjoy it more. Whereas if you have too many options, you've been at a buffet before where you're like, I don't know what to eat, and you come out with 4 plates, right?
And eat half of it.
And eat half of it, yeah. And
you usually still feel sick afterwards.
And you still
right?
feel
Like,
sick,
if you
right?
just chose
Whereas
one
if it's
and ate
like
a good helping of that.
you go to In-N-Out Burger and it's like, you want the single or the double, right? Or do you want an animal style? That's it. These are your choices. Great, and it's the best burger, among the best burgers in the world, right?
Can I just jump in on that creative? Sorry, Marty. Every time you play, I just have a side preference.
This is like our thing. Like, Justin said, don't let Marty talk. Well, that was what happened.
Oh,
No,
well,
I was
we
going to
gave
say
him a
something about
mic.
Whataburger, but it may not land well here. So
I know,
We'll
I
talk Whataburger when you come to Texas.
So when I hear you say the creativity part, that is in my version of the manage section. So because you're managing it, you're finding gaps, you're finding areas for improvement. That to me means you can throw some creativity in there. This isn't working. What can I do differently? They disagree. They both lift their mics.
They like, oh,
no.
No, they don't disagree. I think
So,
they're going to add.
That's just what I thought of when you mentioned that. That's the area
Yeah.
of the system where I'm getting creative.
Well, and the reality of it is a lot of agents don't lean into smart plans fast enough because it becomes overwhelming. You got all these emails that could go out, and I don't have my HTML templates, and I don't have a graphic designer. And what we found is that the simple emails get a better response than the HTML emails. And so we don't
David,
need...
what is
less
the
is more.
difference? I don't know.
We-
Well, there are
a
people who don't know.
A simple email is just going to be a simple text email, and it
Okay.
looks more personal, it looks more authentic, and you can make a smart plan today if you don't get too creative. However,
And what's an HTML email?
it's going to be all the graphics. It's going to look more generic, and it's not going to get the same response. However, when we're thinking about the smart plans with creativity, we're going to want to lean in to do all this stuff that's not going to serve our purpose. So sometimes just keeping it simple is going to get us a better result than getting too creative too fast.
I would even challenge you to misspell a word or two in that black and white email that we're talking about, the simple email, because sometimes people then realize that the more creative and the more HTML-y you get, I just made up that word, we're going to stick with it. Sometimes people think that's an automated touch plan. How many of you have gotten emails and you know this is an automated touch plan?
Oh, I spent half my morning.
Yeah.
Delete, 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 delete.
How many of you get an
Unsubscribe.
email where it looks like they actually wrote it? And then take it one step further and don't be afraid to have a word misspelled or two. And then it looks like they actually really wrote it.
I shine in that
That's his
area.
excuse.
Yeah, right. That's,
Everything's misspelled.
Well, I think you said something really good about the creative part, right? Which is if you think about a model we all know, the 36 touch. We're all familiar with what that is, I assume. Inside of that system, there's 1,000 different things you could do to build a 36 touch. That's your creativity. The system is there's 36 touch points over the course of 12 months.
Proven to work.
Right? That's the easiest way to think about it. Absent technology, absent anything else, you're going to try to communicate with your database 36 times a year in any manner you want. Right? And if you go look at the biggest businesses in our company, not one of them does it the same. They all are following a system, but none of those systems are the same.
100%. Hey, let's do this real quick, because as they've been talking, you have probably already had this thought run through your head. You're like, you know what I need to do, right? They've said, you've thought, I need to download my phone into Command. I need to set up the hyperlocal touch. I need to do this. It may have been something that hasn't been mentioned, but you've looked at the systems of your business and you've said, I got to do something, right? What I'd love for you to do is write that down, right? And I'm going to give you a quick cheat code. This is how I do my notes, is I always reserve one page that's dog-eared at an event like this that I call candidates for action. And then because a lot of things go, oh, I got to do that. Oh, I should do that. Oh, I totally should do that. Oh, that's brilliant. I got to learn more about that. And I'll write down, of course, I'm not going to do but maybe 1 or 2 or 3 of them. Okay? So I'll write those down, and then on the last day, I'm going to go through that list. I'm going to identify the top 3, and I'm going to pick, this is my 24-hour action item. This is like my 1-week action item. This is my 30-day action item. So you could be doing something like that.
A system.
Oh, that's a system. Oh, you guys. It didn't even take satellites.
I'm very hyper-focused on it now.
Right?
It's like everything I see, I'm like,
Everything's a system.
you get a system.
I love it. So, by the way, we're doing a
for
system.
that system, guys.
By the way, we're doing a learning system right now, right? We're creating an interaction pattern to help you reinforce the learning by doing writing, having a small group conversation, having a large group report out. You may have
Love
noticed
it.
that pattern. or what we could call a system. There we go. So write that down. What's your one thing? And then just shoulder share. So that's just with the person that you're closest to, groups of two. What is the one system that you would like to enact? And then if you're so bold as to do this, is to actually say by when you will get it, or not by when. I'm taking that back. When you will do it, right? And when you will do it sounds like, it doesn't sound like this. Oh, I'll do it by next Tuesday. It sounds like this. I will do it on Tuesday at 3 o'clock. You want to try
Josh,
that?
can we plus that? Who's going to hold me accountable to making sure that it gets done?
Well, that would be
Put
a
a name
whole
down.
other level, is you could coordinate with that person to hold you accountable. To be like, great, well, I'm going to text you at whatever time I said, shortly after the time I just said in the example. So we're going to do that. We're just going to do that. You're going to do it fast. You're going to do it in 2 minutes. So 2 minutes on the clock. Go. Here we go. Did you guys have a good conversation? All right. Can you come grab the squawk box? I'm not volunteering you unless you want to volunteer.
Say something, Lisa.
You could say something.
called
Hey, what was
voluntold.
one system you're going to add?
The LinkedIn is, I'm on social media, but it's something I don't ever use, so I
Perfect.
some great nuggets there.
Perfect. Hey, let's do this real quick. Raise your hand if you're within throwing distance of her, and all you're going to share is what system you're going to add, and this is Twitter, not TED Talk, so keep it to like 140 characters. Who's going to go next?
Right here in the middle,
One
she wants to
system.
be asked. The blonde who's saying no with the black jacket, the gentleman next
Yeah,
to
yeah,
him,
right here.
nodding
Perfect.
profusely.
Yeah, what was one system you're going to introduce?
Wow, okay. I am going to import all of my contacts into the KW Command app
Perfect.
and
One,
clean them up eventually.
awesome. We're just going to do one clap on the end of all of these. Ready? And awesome. Pass it to the person next to you.
Well, she took mine. I'm going to clean up my contacts that I have imported.
Excellent. Here we go. Pass it to whoever you like.
Here you go, Rod.
I'm going to plan on doing neighborhood nurture. I've been planning on doing that for about a year now.
Perfect.
But I'm actually motivated today because we're here and we're going to do it.
Did you pick a time and a date you're going to do it?
I did next Friday by 5 p.m.
Next Friday at 5 p.m. Excellent. Here we go. Love it. Grab it. Somebody grab it. Or hand it to somebody.
All right, fine, I'll take it. Mine was automating my monthly market update email, because right now I'm sending it out manually, which is getting more and more difficult, so. putting
Oh
that
my
into
gosh.
smart-
Sending out manually. That's like mowing your lawn with scissors.
Yeah.
Goodness
love
gracious.
it.
All right, here we go. And who's next? Yep. Yeah, green sweater.
So I was just going to update my contacts in my phone, which I have probably 1,500 dupes in there. So
Wow.
I think I'm going to go ahead and take care of that. And then I'm going to start implementing stuff in Command and KV Core.
I love it. Here we go. Pass it to the bistro table behind you. Yeah, the one to your left. Those ladies right there. Excellent. Awesome. All right. Oh,
we
go.
decided we're just going to do it.
Just going to do it. All right. Let's maybe add some specificity after that. I think that's a great start. No, well, it is, you guys. It's a good commitment. What you don't know with that language, and you may have it, is you don't know what you're going to do. So we have an it. It's generally squishy around with this, and it's fine. This is a great start. And if I were doing it, I wouldn't leave this room to the breakouts until I had identified one thing I can do, and it could be microscopic. Like literally, you know what I'm going to do? Just to like give myself a good start, I'm going to import one number into Command, right? Like literally, I could go that far, right? I'm going to put myself on a test email and put myself on a campaign so I can feel what it feels like. Like a baby step like that can turn into, okay, now I'm going to put my mom on it tomorrow, right? And then I could put my neighbor on it, and then I can go from there. That is a really fabulous start. So awesome. Well, Abby, we got more to talk about with these smart fellows.
I'll say one thing that did come up for the young lady that said she had a lot of duplicates in your phone. Just one thing to know that Command actually checks against that on email and phone number. So oftentimes I have people that, well, I've already got some people in command and they're in my phone, and will it make duplicates, and they get concerned and nervous about that. Just one thing to clear up, that command will check on your import, does this number exist or does this email exist, and will not bring that contact in if it already exists. So hopefully that may save you some time to do what the young ladies in the back said, just do it and go for it from that point as well.
Before I get to that,
Okay.
I have a thought that I've had for the last few minutes. So we've talked about systems and may have been up here making it seem kind of easy. Like, oh, just identify it, start working on it, and then make sure it works. What is an example of a time where you had a system in place where you felt the system broke? And you,
Every day.
not the actual system, but your operating system, how you're using it. Where maybe it was a client experience where you're like, okay, we gotta look at this area of the transaction. Can you, one or all of you, share where you had to grow from that?
For us, like our systems are never static. They're always growing and we're failing forward. So if we have an experience in the contract to close arena that wasn't a good experience for that client, we probably don't want to replicate it. So we're going to look at it and say, okay, was our systems broke? Was it missing something? One of the challenges that I had when I first started building systems is I was thinking about where I was, not really where I was wanting to take it.
Ooh, I like that.
And so then every year I had to rebuild the system. As I hit my next limit, I had to completely rebuild my business. It seemed like every August I was revamping my business before Mega Camp. And so think of the end in mind when you're building your systems. And even if you're an independent agent with no desire to be a team, if you build your systems in place to be a 500 unit production team, then you don't ever have to rebuild the systems from complete scratch again.
So good.
And then at the same time, think about what systems do I have right now that don't like meet my goals? Because we're all talking about systems that we don't have right now. What systems do you have in place that are not getting you to where you want to be?
That are not serving you?
You may need to eliminate some systems. You may need to look at your systems and do a system audit. And we're all running off of habitual systems.
Is the system serving you?
Yeah.
If it's not serving you, it needs to be worked on, right?
I mean, I think the easiest one for me is, this happens to me far too frequently, is I'll go into my database and find someone that's very close to me, best friend, coworker, whatever, and realize I don't have a piece of information for them, or I have an outdated piece of information. We've all been there where we've sold someone a house. You go back into your CRM, whatever it is, a week, a month, a year later, and you're like, how do I not have, I literally sold them the house, yet I don't have the right address in here. There is no system for updating the address as I sell property. So I think that's one that was broken for me, really. And so we started, we have a system around that now. Like when we get the closing disclosure, you change the address in the system. Or when you get paid, however you want to do it. Birthdays, another really, outside of sitting in Texas is what's your birthday? We need a birth date in order to use one of our systems, our VIP touch plan. Well, outside of asking someone what their birthday is, when's the other time that you're working with someone you always get their birthday? Everyone has to give their ID at closing. So if you take the IDs and you know that they're going to have to notarize something with somebody, right? Hey, I need your IDs to give to the notary so they can use their notary book. The moment you get their ID, in that moment, you can just write down their birthday.
I love that. Marty,
So we're going to need to see all of your IDs before you leave the room. Everybody-
Every one of them.
Only the birthday, don't write anything else down.
We used
your
to do,
credit card.
so the team that I was on, we used to do cupcakes for birthdays, and how embarrassing when you call a client and say, did you get the cupcakes? And they say, what cupcakes? And you realize that address was the address that they had before you helped them sell that address, and now you're sending cupcakes to strangers. So yeah, definitely a system there.
Lead generation.
There you go.
right?
I think for me, the system that really comes to mind is when I was originally creating the 66-day challenge and recording the videos. I did that every single day for 66 days in a row. Every day I would record a new video and talk about not serving me. There were times where it would be 9 o'clock at night and I'd be sitting down, finally the kids are in bed and just Nicole and I, and I'd be like, oh, I didn't record the video for today. Like I can't watch Survivor with you. I have to go do the video. And it was a really disappointing thing because I had such a commitment to do it every single day. So then I started setting an alarm. The first system was at 6 p.m. alarm would go off and it would just say 66 and I would know whether I'd done the video or not. By the 4th challenge, I started doing them in bulk. And it opened up a whole new world because I could just give myself permission. Like, no one knows whether I'm doing this every day, or I did 5 on Monday and just scheduled them out. And so sometimes, you know, feeling like you have to do something every single day when you could do all of it in one day and then move forward. 20 minutes earlier, right? I think it was Rebecca talked about, can you do something for 20 minutes? 20 minutes a day? Sure. And for those of us that don't have short attention spans, could you do it all in an hour or two and then give yourself freedom not to do it on Friday? Or whatever that looks like, right? So figuring out the system that works for you, it doesn't always have to be repetitive. We don't have to make ourselves martyrs by saying, oh, I gotta go do X. Do it all in one day, get it over with, and then give yourself permission not to do it on a specific day.
I always wondered why those videos were only 3 minutes, and it was because you needed to go see Survivor.
Survivor was on, I had to go. Jeff Probst was calling, you know.
When you do them in batches, do you change your shirt between videos?
Yeah, that's the best thing. So I intentionally, and the 66 series, I'm not on. There is no video of me. I intentionally did not have a video of me because sometimes I did them in the morning, sometimes I did them at night. I was always wearing a shirt because I don't go shirtless, but you know, it was not always like the most polished personality, and that was very intentional as well because I didn't want to distract from the content, number one, by what the hell is Marty wearing, excuse the language, or having to worry about, I can't go do this because I got to go do my hair or whatever it is, you know what I mean?
Sure.
I'm working towards not having to worry about that much longer, but David's coaching me through it.
That's a system, my friend.
That is a system.
My brother did the same thing. He had a scar on his head. He said, as soon as my hairline gets there, it's all going.
We're getting real close.
Yeah.
I got news for you. You're there.
Awesome.
Like I said, he's coaching me through it, right?
Hey, so a couple of you guys are doing breakouts this afternoon. Can you tell us a little bit about your breakouts and what those are going to cover? People want to go deeper into systems?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm doing one at 3 o'clock. So go out, take a left, go all the way to the end of the hallway. It's how to build a millionaire real estate database through digital farming. It was a class that I originally wrote during COVID because not many people were going outside their house, and yet we all still had to make money. And so a way to actually use technology to create a millionaire-based database from the comfort of your own home. And now we can plus it by leaving our homes again. So that's what I'll be teaching at 3 o'clock down the hallway.
What does the phrase digital farming mean?
I'll tell you when you come to the breakout at 3 o'clock.
Perfect.
Nice.
Ooh, you get that?
That's what we call it.
That's marketing right there. Sell the sizzle. All right. You have one too.
Yeah, we're doing Labs Live today at 3 o'clock. We have some amazing Labs advisors coming in virtual, and there are going to be some amazing content for all of you, and you'll be able to ask some questions as well. And we're super excited to kind of show the agents here in Montana what's happening in the Labs world and allow you to get some more content from agents that are outside of our ecosystem.
I love that.
And I'll be joining Mikey for that.
Okay, great. I wanted to ask you, because you are the regional technology trainer.
You make that sound so fancy.
Well,
it's so
okay,
fancy.
first of all, you're the second largest region by geography,
Yes.
right?
We're
To
very
Canada.
spread out.
Yeah, the only one bigger is Canada. And so you got a pretty large area that you are technology training. You train everyone in that region. How can people access the training that you provide? What would be, if I'm an agent out there and I'm like, I haven't really plugged into some of the regional training that's available to me, how would I go about plugging into that?
So my intention is I'm building out having a virtual training each month.
Okay.
And setting that calendar date and then opening it up to the entire region.
Ooh, how
Now that is
systematic.
something I'm working on with our Market Center tech trainers. Braden's right in front of me, so I'm going to call you out. Hello.
Do we have any other Market
Yes,
Center tech
who
trainers
else?
in the room?
I think we've got 2 in Montana, so
Okay, so Braden and the other one.
1.
Okay, great.
All right. Braden's a rock star. He'll answer all your questions. So working with our region's Market Center tech trainers, also taking one-on-one trainings as well. So I'll make sure you guys have my contact information. If you want to write it down right now, it's just my first and last name, Abbie Lacey at kw.com. Abbie with an I-E, Lacey with a C-E-Y. And then, I just totally blanked on some other
How
stuff.
can people engage with the training that you have?
Yes. So I'm going to we have our own regional website. One of the things that I implemented for the region to help find stuff in one cohesive place. So posting it on our regional calendar, which is on our regional website, so that you can access these trainings via Zoom. Recording them so you can go back and look at them later. But I think one of the greatest leverage pieces, but also having it come through another voice, is utilizing our Market Center tech trainers that I meet with weekly, sharing the most up-to-date releases, making sure they understand, how things work and all that. So they are taking that high-level training to their market centers on a more frequent basis. So that's kind of what I have in place right now.
I want to share a quick thought here about how I think about systems and systematizing and why people should put the energy into this. And then after that, I want to ask each of you kind of like your one last, if I could say one great thing about systems, this is what it would be. But I want you to think about this. Who in here is a parent? Who in here is a parent? And who has gone through the process of potty training their children? Okay, great. And who in here decided, you know what, it's just quicker for me to wipe their butt, and so that's what I'm going to do until they move out? Interesting. So nobody, right? Nobody in this room, but you actually did for a while. There was a season when you're like, you know what, it's just quicker for me to do it. It's just quicker for me to do it. But then eventually you said, okay, this kid's got to learn how to be potty trained.
They got to
right?
go to school.
And thank God, right? And they have to go to school. So you went through the pain, the struggle, the challenge of potty training because you knew the time and energy and effort you spent on it would save you, 12 to 14 years of doing it yourself. Right? I know it's a silly metaphor, but this is honestly a lot of how I think about systems. It's like,
You've got to be committed to that.
Seriously, and you have to be committed to it, right? But it only takes, by the way, a few minutes a day to potty train a child. Well, except for that one knockdown drag out where you have to sit with your daughter on the toilet for 5 hours because she won't. Systems are a lot like that. Anything you're doing where you go, you know what, it's just quicker for me to do it. Oh, you know what, I'll just do it myself. I'll just do it manually. Oh, I'll just do it, right? Somebody was sending out emails manually, right? And I made that joke. That's like mowing your lawn with scissors. It is. Or it's like not potty training your children. But if you commit the little bit of time to create the system, it's actually quicker for you to do it than it is for you to create the system. Acknowledge that, right? Well, I could send out this email, or I could create a system to send out this email automatically for me. It will take you longer to create the system the first time, and then you'll never do it again. Or you'll do it in a very, you barely have to touch it kind of way.
And if you're paid for diapers, you know how much money that's going to save you in the long run too, right? So,
and now we're done with diapers. So every time you send an email manually that could be sent automatically, just put a diaper in the corner of your office, right? Every time you go, oh crap, I forgot to call back the Johnsons, put a diaper in the corner of your office, right? And when you can't find your desk anymore, you might start learning to commit to systems. So
kind of going back to the onboarding thing I was talking about in the beginning, I realized a lot of that system involved very repetitive, the same steps that I didn't need to be sending one off. There were months where we onboarded 2 people. There were months when we onboarded 12.
Yeah.
And those emails add up, and is my time best spent sending copy, paste, email, and it's all the same content. I started to use smart plans to make sure that those newly added agents were being acknowledged on a regular basis. Should they have any questions or something in that email? No, I haven't done that yet. They reach out to me and schedule. So just recognizing that repetitiveness to put that into a system is one of my favorite ways of systemizing things.
Yeah. Some systems I'm working on with some clients right now, with some of my coaching clients right now, you talked about having a consistent experience for people, is I go, if you answer the same question twice in a month to a buyer or a seller, record a video, right? And so Marty asks me, he's like, what's a CMA, right? Why are you talking to me about the Country Music Awards? And I go, oh, I got it. I record and I go, hey, I just want to let you know what a CMA is. It's called a comparable market analysis, and I can do a 90-second video. And I'm like, Marty, thank you so much for asking me that question. In fact, I recorded this video, and it's right here for you. You know who else it's there for? Everyone ever till the end of time, right? And now I have that video, and I can say, oh, and you know what? I could package a few of those, and that might be a pre-listing experience for people before I come to the listing appointment. That's an interesting idea, right? It just becomes a way to create some systems as you go. as the problems arise?
Well, it reminds me of the one thing. What's the one thing as a business owner I can do today that once it's done, it makes my life and everybody's life in my ecosystem better?
So
And
good.
that's where it goes back to systems, because our clients, we're selling an experience and our clients are hiring our standard. And as I started growing my team, I didn't want to give buyers away. I had to do everything. And because I was the one that was going to get it done right. Well, that was wrong. That was my ego, me lying to myself. My clients were hiring my standard. And once I could embed my standard into a system, then I could leverage my standard out to people all the way across the ocean in the Philippines to give my clients a better experience on a day-to-day transaction than I could when I was trying to hire people in person and have them learn by default in the experience and not have a system in place.
I love what you're saying. It goes back to, this whole idea of the experience. Let me ask, in Montana, are we in Les Schwab country? You won't know what this is. Yeah, we're in Les Schwab country. Okay, has anybody ever met Les Schwab? No? Never? Anybody ever hunted Les Schwab property? I have. Okay. So we've never.
Oh, I'm talking about the tire place, dude.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
No, he's a real guy. He existed. He lived in Central Oregon, right? But nobody here has ever met Les Schwab. If you're from out of the Northwest, you don't know what we're talking about. It's a tire place.
Confirmed.
But you go to Les Schwab. Why? Because they come running. Because you have this service standard that you expect, and yet no one in this room has ever met Les, right? Except you. Okay.
I'm so interested.
Why? It's a really good tire store. People don't work with you. This is right out of the MRA. They work with the standards you represent. They work with the experience that you provide, and you can provide that experience using systems and models, technology. I just learned this a couple minutes ago, and people. So good. Okay, guys, give us one last, what's the one most important thing you want people to learn about systems?
Yeah, obviously a huge fan of smart plans. I've given you one of my favorites. A second favorite that I would look up, Kimber Walton. Got the honor of coaching her through MAPS. She's a market center tech trainer, and she has a series of smart plans in the library called 36 Touch. Many times people have personal feelings about monthly neighborhood nurture and some of the data it represents, or you don't have a next door neighborhood where that individual may live. Go check out Kimber Walton's 36 Touch Smart Plans, a fantastic way to systematically add someone to at least real estate-based content. Might not be hyper-local, but it's better than what you may have right now. So it's that 12-touch per year system that you can apply. Kimber Walton, 36 Touch.
Perfect. David?
And we actually have Kimber coming on at 3 o'clock with Brett Bishop about smart plans.
Ooh.
So you guys know.
All right.
Did you know that?
36 touch.
I did not.
Look at that.
You can go see Kimber, but did I tell you I was also teaching at... No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, man. It's going to
We're going to arm wrestle for all of you.
Steel cage deathmatch.
Coming with Marty, or you coming with me?
So I actually brought a system with me. So I talked to you about the thing that worries me the most, which is when people live in that cultivate world. For those of you that don't know, Gary hosts in person his mastermind with his top agents 3 times a year in Austin. And so they just got done with those yesterday. So I asked Jason Abrams, who helps create a lot of the systems and models that you see in the form of one-pagers and playbooks, could we share one with this group? And so I think Jimmy was nice enough to put a QR code up on the screen. This is a system around how you could run your cultivate section of your sales pipeline and command. So if you just hit this QR code, it's going to take you to a Google Drive folder. There is a system and a model there. So it's not a one-pager, it's like a 3-pager on exactly how you could do that by a top agent named Laura Gillot, who I'm sure you know Laura. Yeah. So this is how she runs her roughly 500 unit a year business in command opportunities.
In a town of, how big is Lebanon? 50,000 people?
About 35,000
people?
Yeah. She only has 20% market share.
Yeah.
In her county, because she counts by county.
Yeah. What's one last thing you'd like to give us about systems?
How many of you have came to our Leverage with Systems class that we've taught in the last year? So we've updated our systems this year, and if you reach out to us through the Cyberbacker table, we will share our new updated spreadsheet with everything from cultivate all the way to close that we have, and we teach classes several times a month on how to embed those systems into command opportunities. That way you can systemize your systems and give your clients the standard that they deserve.
I love it. Abby, what's one last word you'd like to say about systems?
I think mine's going to be, I want to challenge everyone to identify one system, one important system, maybe a one thing that will change everything to make it easier or necessary. Figure out how you're going to manage that. So really follow those three things to a deep level and see how you can duplicate that in all your other systems. But just take one, whether it's business, whether it's personal, take one system, really dive deep into those three words, identify, manage, and maintain, and just see how powerful that is for you and see how you can duplicate that into your business or another system in your life. So just start with one. Could be small.
So good. Here's how I'd like us to finish out. Go ahead and grab your pen and write down one thing that you can appreciate about our folks that shared today, our panelists, Abby, who's helped co-host this. What is one thing that you can appreciate about the conversation that we had over about the last hour? And then go ahead and turn to the person next to you and share that appreciation. And then what I'm going to do is invite half dozen voices or so to share. Where's our squawk box? It's way in the back, so get ready for that to travel around. So go ahead and take 2 minutes real quick to share what's one thing that you can appreciate about the conversation we had over this last hour. And then you all are going to stay here and just soak in the love, okay? Do it. All right. All right, here we go. Excellent. So one of the reasons that we talk about appreciation a lot is that it's actually a hack for learning, right? Is that if you enter through the portal of feelings, if you enter in through the portal of appreciation, you actually cement the learning more effectively in you. And, oh, by the way, you actually get to love and appreciate the people that were so generous with their time, wisdom, and knowledge, okay? And so it allows you to take in the learning as well as to give as well as you received, right? We're actually limited in the amount that we can receive by the amount that we give. So our squawk box is in the back, and what I'd love to do is invite as many voices as we can in about the next 90 seconds to say one thing that you appreciate about what we shared during this last hour on systems.
It's going to be really awkward if it's nothing.
It's right for real.
Come on, guys.
Perfect.
Love it.
Excellent. You had one. You were ready to talk. Go.
Am I on?
Yep.
Yes. I appreciated listening to the guys with solid hands-on experience with systems.
Perfect. Perfect. Can you throw it kind of this way toward this table? Is there somebody at that table that would share with us? Oh, she'll share right there, Rebecca Del Pozo.
So one of my takeaways was the fancy emails overwhelm me, so then I don't send anything at all. And so it was super freeing to hear that the plain, simple emails are opened or read or received better, and I can even leave a few typos in. Thank you.
Oh my gosh. Can we just say this again? Done is better than perfect. Okay. Over here in the front, yes.
I kind of appreciated the order of solving a problem. I feel like there's times that I'm throwing people at something when I need to throw a system at it. And I loved, let's start with systems, see what we can simplify. Maybe we don't even need another person. So that was super helpful.
Perfect. Absolutely. Excellent. Anybody else with a burning desire to share? In the back, right there. Yeah.
So I missed part of it, but I still heard something profound. Sending one-off emails makes no sense. So the example that we went over earlier was the result of sending one email to 700 expired listings.
Perfect.
The chances of chances of us all calling 700 expireds, it's grueling. But if you can send that email, you're getting leverage. So if you want more time back with your family, you want more balance, the leverage is huge on that piece.
Outstanding. Excellent. Excellent. All right. Well, hey, let's give the rest of them a big round of applause, and then Justin is going to take us to what's next.
Yeah, so isn't that fantastic? That was awesome. You guys did great. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time. These are very busy individuals, and they brought their talent here to Montana, and man, we're blessed by that. So listen, a couple of really quick changes. We're about to break for breakouts. The breakout sessions, the workshop sessions, and the networking sessions are happening in that wing. So out the doors, hang a left, go to the end of the wall, hang a left, you're going to go down a hall. You saw the agenda on what looks like a yard arm, right? I built that yesterday in the driveway of my VRBO. I don't know if it was permitted. We made it happen though. And on the agenda, a couple of changes, okay? So Sam Byers has hijacked a block on the agenda, and you can see her very famous signature now on my MontanaCamp23 agenda. I'm framing it. And Brody, it's gonna be hanging in the office later, okay? So I wanted to give you a couple of quick little agenda changes. So Labs Live Q&A is going to be kicking off in about 8 minutes, and that's happening if you go down that hallway. It's going to be the first room on the left, okay? The first room on the left that's open, okay? All the doors that are closed, don't worry about those. All the doors that are open, you can go in those, okay? Labs Live Q&A, if you want to participate in that, first door on your left. Okay, Marty Miller has a millionaire real estate database mastermind for the summit room, which is the room at the very end of that hallway. So if you're going for Marty Miller, go all the way to the end of the hallway. And then Playing the Odds with Audrey Walliser, and this is a presentation she has about disaster preparedness and emergency management. She's going to be the first room on the right as you go down that hall. So you got first left and first right. It's actually easier than you think. So anyways, are we having fun? And if you have any questions about that, by the way, we do have later a 1031 CE class. Jonathan Barge is already with us. That 1031 exchange class is at 4. That does come with CE. So if you're going to attend in that, we're going to come by and zap your badges so you can get your CE credits if you wish, all right? And then we also have, and I mentioned Sam Byers is on the agenda at 4 o'clock as well. So hang around for 2 more fantastic breakouts. Okay. That's it. So 7 minutes, breakouts go. All right. Thank you so much. What a great, great start to MontanaCamp23.
Can the child within my heart rise above? Can I sail through the changing ocean tide?